this is more like an end of the year party. If this were in person, there would be pizza and beer for sure.
For sure.
And like an open mic. But all right, well, we have a few people in. Let's get it rolling, and people can join as they join, you know?
All right. So this month we are doing Bike Life, a year in review. And really what we wanted to do was just kind of cover a couple big stories that have been talked about as far as what people that ride bikes often or even not as often have had to experience. We also interviewed a lot of people in the community. So you might even recognize some of the faces. So yeah, we wanted to just reach out to everybody and get an idea of what kind of experience they've had in 2020 with everything going on, and see if they've gotten more rides in, less rides in, questions like that. So I guess we'll go ahead and Aaron, if you want to talk a little bit about like the bike shortage.
Yeah, so I actually was just experiencing this myself. I started to put a couple orders in, doing some upgrades on my bike, and parts just are impossible to find. So in March, when COVID first hit, number one of the only things you could do was go ride your bike outside. And so a bunch of people are like, well, I have a bike in my garage. I've only ridden once in the last 10 years. Let's just pull it out. So that was part of it. There was something to do. But then the other part is that like supply lines were actually completely backed up around the globe. So a lot of bike parts, come from overseas, come from a lot of the countries that were first impacted by COVID. And so even before we were really experiencing anything here, we couldn't get parts. And so, man, huge shout out to anyone who had come in for service or was waiting on a bike or waiting on some new parts or anything like that. And just really appreciate you guys' patience, because if it was frustrating for you, you can imagine it was also frustrating for us, who are usually used to just being able to put in an order and 2-3 days later it shows up. That was not the case this year.
Yeah.
But
indeed.
yeah,
and like you're saying, with people that were pulling out their bikes for like the first time in a while, they just wanted to get a tune up. I was hearing people were waiting up to like 2 weeks just to get a basic tune up. And I mean, that is something that by the time the 2 weeks is up, you might even forgot that you scheduled your bike, which is working in a bike shop. I've experienced this a lot. People just forgetting to pick up their bikes, even when the turnover is 24 hours, 48 hours. So I can imagine how cluttered bike shops were probably getting with people forgetting to pick up their bikes because they left them there so long, or forgetting to go to their registered meeting to get their bikes worked on. Because most of the time, a lot of bike shops like to function on a first come, first served basis. But because of COVID, everybody had to start scheduling things, and it's hard to schedule a bike ride. It's kind of something where you pull your bike out, you expect to take it, get some air in the tires, get it dusted off. And when you're thinking that's just going to be a few hours and it turns into a few days, possibly a few weeks, I mean, it really puts a snag into the whole bike season for you, possibly.
Oh, totally. And I mean, we're fortunate enough to be able to still provide some service. We had people show up, with flats, or show up with, broken chains, stuff like that. We were still able to try and do those kind of things on the spot. But man, so many times, like there was a period of time where we were out of 26-inch tubes across the board. And it's like the most common wheel size, for especially around here with all these BMX riders and stuff. And so like, what do you say? That's never an answer before, is like, oh yeah, we don't have the most common tube. Like,
okay. The most common.
Sorry. So yeah, that was crazy. And then if things didn't get crazier enough, everything closes down and everyone goes out to the trails. I mean, I hit some of the trails myself, whether it was hiking or biking or anything, but then trail maintenance couldn't happen. And so those trails were just getting wrecked. And I don't know if you were out on any trails in April, but conditions were just terrible. And there were like volunteer people going up and trying to clean things up. There were some activists really trying to mitigate the trail damage, but
right,
yeah, it was rough. And even like MWMBA is still up there now, just like they were just working on Condor Peak the last couple of weeks, just trying to repair one what happened because of trail use. And then two, when the fires all came through, closing down national forests, a lot of those trails ended up, and the fire roads and stuff just got freshly bulldozed.
Yeah.
And, which is like, it has to be done, but it means that a lot of work happens afterwards. So if you were trying to get out mountain biking at all this year, I had some great days, but also had some times where I was turned around because of fires and turned around because of trail conditions. And
I mean, and even going out on the bike trails, like just the simple paved beach path and things like that were getting closed down as well. So it just overall, anywhere where it was safe and usually secluded for bikes was usually the places that were being closed down. So it was really, I mean, parks were being closed down as well. And then whenever parks did open up, I saw quite a few news stories of just them being so crowded that it almost defeated the purpose of socially distancing, because everybody wanted to get out and you could only go to certain parks that were open. So it was like, I can't really ride my bike when I'm competing with, everybody else, from pedestrians to folks that are just walking across the path,
Totally. And then, when trails are closing down and only a few of them are open, just it's a bottleneck, everyone. So I'm looking forward to having, at least just those options open up, because, you can go to less crowded places if those places are open. And that was just a little bit limited this year.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, trails and stuff weren't the only thing that were impacted. A lot of local businesses, obviously ourselves included, but tons of local businesses were really affected. And so Justin, you talked to Maritime, and can you just while I pull this up, can you intro this little interview really fast?
Yeah. So I talked to one of the owners of Maritime, and he gave me this awesome interview about some of the good, some of the bad that comes with owning a bike company during a pandemic. So I wanted to get a feel for like what the culture of the company was like during this time, as well as like, business sales being up or down, and how the community had supported his business. So yeah, go ahead and start the video.
Here we go.
My name is Langdon Tagaped. I'm the co-founder of Maritime Bicycle Courier. My buddy Bud and I started Maritime about 8 or 9 years ago. We both raced fixed gear bicycles internationally, and the courier biz was our way of putting money in our pocket and servicing the community, and it's awesome.
That's crazy, man. So you said you've been doing it for 9 years.
Yeah, we've had, I've been a courier for almost 10 years, both Bud and I. We started out in Venice Beach before this whole, food app thing started. It was us couriers and messengers that figured out we can start servicing these things, almost like 10 years ago. But Bud and I had the vision for Long Beach. In the earlier years, like they offered me a partnership. I helped shape a business out there. But we were just like, nah, we're going to do it in Long Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that you thought would be, already established in Long Beach, but, it takes a little bit of effort and teamwork. And then honestly, the support of the community to accept us for what we wanted to do. So we're super grateful for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel the same way, with our company, Pedal Movement. It's very much a community-based company, and it's, without the people, we wouldn't be anything. So I definitely feel you there. So I wanted to ask you, like, as far as 2020 has been, I know I've talked to a lot of people in the bike industry, whether they be selling bikes or whether they're just folks that are everyday commuters, people that are, so I wanted to know, like, how has 2020 affected your business, affected just in general your company, whether it be the people in the company, just, business up, downs, just feel free to share whatever you'd like to.
Yeah, for us, 2020 was a silver lining, honestly. Um, for our business, we do all of our deliveries by bicycle. And with the COVID lockdowns and things like that, we were deemed an essential business and we never shut down. We kept rolling, regardless. So, yeah, our business began to grow just because of need, which was great for me because that was one of our core intentions as a business, is to service the community. And we were kind of overshadowed by some of these, the bigger corporate car delivery food services.
Right.
But, Long Beach has more of a conscious mind, I feel and believe, and they brought us back up front, which I'm super grateful for, So in that sense, like we were able to help, some of the businesses that, stayed open because they had a solid partnership with us. And, to kind of help them through this whole ups and downs. That was a huge, positive thing for me. I feel good that we could help out that way. Yeah. And then, a lot of our friends, needed jobs. So I was able to just like bring them on, it's a pretty easy, workflow. And I believed in it from day one, with the COVID stuff. They were, they had the social distancing and stuff like that, but nobody was preaching protect your own immune system. That's the only thing that we can do. And with positive, like being positive, having exercise, being out in the sun, and eating right is a positive lifestyle that bicycles just bring naturally.
Exactly.
So I was on it. That was what I was going to do. I was going to be outside and pedal, dude. Like that's how I can protect myself,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, and I got to tell you, I moved to Long Beach about 6 years ago, and your company was one of the first ones I heard about when I came to town, both because I needed to get some food, and then whenever I was looking for a job, and they're like, "Yeah, I noticed you ride bikes," and I was like, "Yeah," and somebody handed me a card, and it was just one of those things where I eventually met the people in the company and became friends with them, and it was just really like woven into the fabric of Long Beach to where it's like I didn't know how it was never there,
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a wonderful thing that we are part of the community. And honestly, that was how we survived with against the bigger corporate car delivery services. I was just like, nah, we're gonna go deeper into the community and just establish us even more. And that's what we did. We started hosting like bike rides, just inclusive, all inclusive, like Mondays, Wednesdays, and bringing that out. Just, it's fun to ride bikes and meet people. And that was our way to stay connected. That was our way to like recruit new riders and, hopefully get more customers, on board with what we do. And it's all about like the awareness, like we don't have a huge marketing budget, but word of mouth is like valuable for, businesses like us,
Oh, for sure.
And we just like to do fun things. So it's like, that was like, a no-brainer for us. And, it was definitely an asset for us, like going deeper into the community and connecting,
Totally. So I was wondering, like, maybe if you want to share with me, like, more on a personal level, as far as you and your employees, like, has 2020 had you riding more? Has it had you riding less, as far as just on your free time?
Yeah. Well, at the beginning with the whole COVID thing, I was riding a bunch because I was like, you know what, I can't, like, I got to practice what I preach. I did my own research and my own, way of learning about what was going on. And for me, it was just like, no, I need to be out here, building and keeping my immune system strong. And why would I put our riders at risk if, I wasn't willing to put myself at risk?
For sure.
Yeah. So at the beginning, I was doing a shit ton of riding, because we had a lot more business, you know, and then once people are started to need jobs, I was able to step back just because we had the availability. If I took myself out, you know, off the street, I can give, you know, a couple more riders a job and put money in their pocket.
Right.
So for a little bit time there, I kind of stepped away and just kind of filled in the blanks when needed. But which was another blessing, because I was able to focus more on our ordering platform through maritimecourier.com. You can order food and local goods on it. So I was able to spend time on that. I do all of our web stuff. So for us, it's been a blessing, honestly.
Yeah, and that's what I think a lot of people have been able to adapt, and some have even been able to thrive. And I think that kind of speaks to like the human condition, like what we can do when we're pressed, but also like what a community can do to help, you know, foster businesses to do things. And you know, Long Beach is the perfect place for any kind of bike-based business. And as well as just a business that's about food, about drinks, and about a good time. So definitely, you know, everybody's very appreciative of your business. I guess just to kind of wrap things up, I was wondering, what do you think as a company and as an individual, would you like to see the city and the community do more as far as in the bike community for this upcoming year and just in the future in general? What do you kind of see for the future of Long Beach when it comes to bikes and business?
Yeah, my foremost issue is bike theft. They need to take that serious. It's like, you know, they're looking at it as a petty theft. Yeah, but you've inconvenienced how many people? If you have like, you know, 20, you know, claims a day about bike theft, that's a serious issue.
It's not petty anymore. Yeah, for sure.
So you need to do something about that. You know, you have to improve our quality of life. That's what we pay taxes for. You know, we want our streets to be safe. We want our private property protected, you know. So that is my core issue right now. I had a bike stolen during this COVID bullshit.
Oh, man.
You know? And we had another, like 3 bikes stolen during this COVID bullshit, you know. But we shouldn't have to be vigilantes about it. We got them all because we're on the street. But, you know, that's just us. What about the other people, you know, and their quality of life? And they worked hard to buy that bicycle, you know? And then
we've had people come in our shop.
About it. Yeah. I mean, I even had like video of the dude that stole my bike. And they were like, well, did you get it back? And he's like, yeah. And he's, well, consider yourself lucky. I was like, okay. Well, that's not a proper way. I shouldn't have to be a vigilante about it.
No, because that's dangerous.
So absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I worked hard for my bike, you know, and that's my source of income.
Right.
You know, I should be taken seriously.
And we've actually had classes with our classes that we do every month that this is actually going to be a part of. We've done classes on the importance of bike safety and how bike theft it's not just, oh, somebody lost their bike. Somebody lost their way to work, which means somebody might have lost their job, which means now that person, I don't think people understand how quick things can spiral out of control when you lose something like that.
And I can validate that, you know, like a lot of our riders, you know, they need an opportunity. So, and some of them come like this guy with like, I'm through email right now. He's like, dude, somebody just stole my bike. And he's like, I can't work, you know, like I can't work for you guys. And I got to wait to get a new setup. And it's a real thing, you know, on certain levels. You can definitely manifest it, you know, and but it's our quality of life. And I think, you know, it needs to be taken seriously.
Well, that's definitely a good thing. Hey, that's definitely a good thing to shoot for 2021, you know, that is just get the whole energy definitely needs to be towards protecting each other, protecting each other's property, you know, and no more having to be a vigilante. You know, that's something
exactly.
that is, we leave that in 2020, you know, let that go.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Sure.
and that's, you know, that's part of, like, I think, you know, it could be, you know, our political leaders can address, you know, or our
Yeah.
you know, police department can address. It's about quality of life. And I think people need to start thinking about basic quality of life, treating each other better, being kind, not stealing other people's stuff. It's basic.
Yeah, and it starts with these conversations, man. So, you know,
For sure.
Langdon, you know, thank you for giving me your time. I appreciate you so much for taking time out of your day to do this with us. And yeah, I'll be reaching out to you again for more events and stuff. Yeah, if you want to leave folks with any other information right now before we head out, you know, feel free, man.
Yeah. Thanks. This is great. You know, the more that we can throw out a bit of awareness is awesome. So I appreciate you. And just, you know, for a little bit on our end, how we're trying to, you know, compete with some of the bigger corporate car delivery service. We've set up ordering capabilities through our website, which is maritimecourier.com. One, if you know the structure of those food apps, our prices to the restaurants are way lower than what's going on out there. And then the tip, you know, goes to our riders. People ask, you know, about that. So, you know, it's definitely going back to the rider. So you have a local option. It's maritimecourier.com. We live in a free market, but you have a local option here in Long Beach, and we'll be happy to service you.
Awesome. Yeah, I should have prefaced a little more clearly beforehand that was a recorded interview, but yeah, man, that was awesome. Let me pop back.
No, yeah, Langdon was great. He was great. And the thing I love about bike businesses is that it's the passion that often makes everything that much better. And the fact that he's like not only like kept other businesses going through his service, but have also employed people, which I think are two amazing things to be able to do in a time like this. So yeah, it's not a small feat to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, man, totally. So hey, Long Beach people, I know we push supporting Maritime all the time, but there's a final plug of the year that if you need your holiday meals delivered, you know where to go.
There you go.
Yeah, man. So I mean, Justin, I feel like you can really just intro this entire section. We talked to a bunch of people in the community, people inside pedal movement, people who are your friends, people who are friends of the shop, and just talk to them about like, man, what has this year been like for you guys? So,
Yeah.
I mean, Justin, you talk to most of these people yourself. I feel like I'm just kind of away here. So you lead up.
No, I'll go ahead and hop in. So our first person that we asked was a fella named Stuart. He's actually been a part of the company in the past, and he has a little picture of his bike there. And so I asked him what some of the biggest changes that 2020 has caused. And he mentioned the Moonlight Mash, which is a big event that we would do every full moon as a company. We would help protect people while they did this long route that we did every month, every full moon. And yeah, he was a big part of that. He always led the ride. Great guy, great time. And he's just mentioned that since that's happened, he hasn't had the opportunity to ride in community rides like beach streets, things like that. And he also mentioned that he gets to ride with just him and his wife now, which is really great, but he misses having that more community vibe. So whenever we were talking, he was really, really bummed out about not being able to enjoy that community.
Yeah,
and so also similar, you know, I asked him, have you cycled less or more? He said, I've definitely cycled less, unfortunately. Before, I was nearly every day because there was somewhere to be, you know, and bikes are the cheapest transportation. So also talked about that, as well as he had previously just talked about there was events to go to. So that was a big deal. You know, so he also mentions getting bored in the house now. And it's, you know, it's just a big change for people when it comes to how often you're going to ride, because when there's nowhere to go, it's not really going to be a big deal. There's no special event. Special occasions have just, you know, come down to just getting out of the house and riding to the beach and back is literally about as fancy as we're getting these days. So yeah, he talked a little bit about that too whenever we spoke. So yeah, if you want to go to the next one.
Yeah, dude, sick.
So this is my friend Jamaica. He said, "What are the biggest changes for you in 2020?" And it's been 2020, or in 2020, biking has been my primary mode of transportation. So last year it was secondary to driving. So it was just kind of saying that, you know, the bike rides were a little bit more now because you're not, again, not really going as many places. Long Beach is so bike friendly that, you know, when you don't need to make those extra trips to LA or extra trips anywhere else, you start to realize you're not using your car as much. And while it is unfortunate that things have been locked down, I feel that people like Jamaica have embraced the bike life in a way that is not only healthy, but is also just a lot more convenient for folks that aren't really looking to journey out too far for any fancy event.
Yeah, dude. I think that's a huge thing for me is just, I've always thought like, what if I didn't have my car? Could I manage? I feel like I could kind of manage. I think you like get more dependent on your car because it's built into your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So kind of, I mean, you know, I obviously it's maybe not the most ideal situation for Jamaica, but I do think it is pretty cool that she's totally made it work.
Just
also,
embraced it. Yeah.
It's also a sick bike. I really like it.
Yeah. And the fact that you know, she lost her car, and so the bike has been there for her in a way that's like most of the time losing your car would be a blow that you couldn't bounce back from without spending thousands of dollars. And for her to be like, yo, you know, I ride more. It worked out. Like losing my car was bad, but I lost my car and then COVID happened. So it's like, it's a weird kind of timing that, you know, let her embrace the bike life even more than I know she already did, you know?
Yeah, totally. We got J-Ro.
So this is Mr. Hyrule. He's another friend of mine. He also, well, you know, do a sly little correction, but
no, it's good.
So he said his biggest, what's been the biggest change for him? Said meditation and appreciation for my city. I enjoy taking notice of the small businesses and architecture that is missed when driving or running, and that is a beautiful picture that he has there. Yeah, he is, and yeah, he's another gentleman that he's very passionate about his city, and similar to with beach streets, whenever we would close down certain areas so that only pedestrians and bikes and skateboards could be there, it really slows things down, and you really see some of the local businesses. So when you're on a bike, that's always the goal of events like that, is to slow things down, and you really see like, wow, there's a really awesome food. There's a really awesome restaurant that has some amazing food I've been looking for. It's right around the corner, and I wouldn't have even known. So it's totally. Really, especially if you live like near Cambodia town, there are so many little spots that are just like blow your mind. And you know, you'll miss it if you're just driving down Anaheim, because it's an insane road that you got to get through. But yeah, it is. It's definitely, it lets you know what's around you, and you just become more conscious of the things around you. You know.
Totally. No, even in my own neighborhood, it's like going up and down streets that I had no reason to go up and down in a car, or, you know, we're a little bit too far away from my house to really manage going on a walk or anything through. But totally, it like unlocks the city in a different way than a car does. So it's awesome to hear that he's he's been really experiencing that. Meditation is such a good word too. That's cool. Just appreciating the city.
Yeah, yeah, and that picture just screams like calm. Like I just love that.
Got a big
So,
lot that I'm sure will be full of construction and not calm soon. But hey, you know,
yeah, right.
calm.
For sure. So yeah, if you want to do Dylan,
Yeah,
somebody who's a part of our company.
Yeah, man, Dylan with this great picture of him building a wheel. If you need wheels built, he's your guy. No, he just saying like 2020 for him. I mean, for us at the shop and Dylan in particular, it's been like just bikes on bikes on bikes. He's saying with pandemic closures, bicycle riding is like the only thing he was able to do. He and I and Anthony actually took a trip this summer, like rode our bikes down to San Diego. So that was a great time. I know he came out. We've done the Floop a few times. He rides all over Long Beach. And yeah, I mean, this year for him too is just like engaging with the community. He's like everybody coming in and people having those needs, you know. I mean, just like talking with Maritime, you know, it's like people come in and they're relying on their bike for transportation, and like you can actually really help people out. I know he's been awesome at like stocking parts and everything this year. So I feel like this was half me sharing his answer and half me just like giving Dylan a big thumbs up and pat on the back because he's been bad. But yeah, this has been like a huge year of bicycles for him. And he's been biking a lot more. He's been working on his bike. He's been doing some upgrades. I don't think he's logged in right now, but if he hears this, he still has to fix his brakes because they are terrible. But other than that, he's been upgrading his bike a little bit, built up his track bike. I think it's a really beautiful Engine 11 that comes into the shop sometimes. So nice. It's pretty sweet, man. He's been getting a lot of riding time.
Yeah, and the shop does have bikes now, right?
Oh, so many bikes. I'm literally just right now making sure that an Instagram post goes up.
Nice.
About some of the bikes we have in stock. So if you're still looking for a Christmas present, we got them.
Dude, that's great.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll go ahead and do Ricky's first slide here. He's somebody who, again, has been on some of the pretty much all the Moonlight Bashes. He's one of the marshals. He's just a great friend as well to the shop, and as always comes in, and whether just for a repair, just to say hey. And so we went ahead and gave him an interview as well and said, what are some of the biggest bike life changes for you in 2020? And he said, biking is a big part of my social life and how I've met the majority of my friends in Long Beach. Before the COVID-19 lockdown in March 2020, I would join my friends for a group ride at least 3-4 times a week. Plus, I look forward to the monthly Moonlight Mash, which, again, you know, it's a huge blow to people's social, like it really is, because that's how I've met the majority of my friends in Long Beach as well. So this one definitely hits close to home. But yeah, I've only seen my bike friends a handful of times. The group rides have moved online, and it's just kind of, you know, he says that he's like, I've taken to running and walking for exercise instead. And so that's, I don't want to discourage running and walking, but let's be real, bike life is just the life, you know? And so, yeah, I'm never going to say,
come on, but you know, not as good. We can make
right, exactly. And that's what I appreciate about Ricky is that he was definitely like, I'm looking more on like the positive side as far as like, you know, I'm still staying active and stuff. But yeah, there's just, as you've noticed, there's a theme here with community. And that is whether you've made friends or it is your way of just getting out and experiencing new places in the city. Bikes are tied to that part of Long Beach. So, you know, it really is, it's really telling how 2020 has been. Some people have been like, I ride less because it was more tied to friendships, and some people say I ride more because I'm just trying to get out of the house. It's really, yeah, it's really interesting, the dynamics of what bikes serve in people's lives. So we also asked, have you cycled more or less? Oh,
No, we're good.
Well, we pretty much already did that,
Yeah.
with his first answer. But yeah, he's saying that he's cycled, less, and that he's just not getting out with his friends as much. So yeah, you can go ahead and go on to Angela.
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, do you want to do Angela? You want me?
Yeah, no, we can do. I mean, I feel like she kind of had a short and sweet answers, as far as like, hey, not as many organized bike events. We've been hearing a lot of that. I mean, Moonlight Mash, races, just fun rides, with that gone, there is that community aspect. It's really hard to get. And she said, have you been cycling more or less, and less that she's depressed and doing kind of less in general. And I kind of just wanted to touch on that too, of just, I really appreciate her just being able to just share like, hey man, it's hard. It's hard to motivate. And depression is a totally real thing. And that doesn't look like wrapping yourself in a blanket and being sad and crying inside. It's like, that looks like not being able to motivate to do the things that are going to bring you joy and that did bring you joy. I'm experiencing a lot of that too. You have good days, you have bad days. There are weeks where like I get out and I push myself to ride my bike, and I know it really brings me a lot of joy and gets me out of a funk. And there are a lot of times I just can't bring myself to do it. So I mean, huge shout out to Angela just for like being honest. And I know that's something a lot of people are dealing with. So I'm trying to find like that balance between pushing myself to do something because I know it'll be good for me, and also like not beating myself up for it. Like I haven't ridden at all this week, and
oh man,
I can get down on myself for it, or you pick up and you move forward, and maybe this afternoon, maybe tomorrow.
And that's important. It's important to like understand that it's like everybody deals with this stuff differently. And not everybody can be that person that's like, oh, I'm still going to get in my 10 miles. Or it's like, no, it is definitely, because I've definitely ridden less, working on a little COVID belly, it's just definitely been a lot more chill on the bike scene, especially being out here in Illinois. We just got snow last night. So, I tried to switch up my tires and get a little bit more tread on them. But it is definitely a different kind of environment. And then whenever you don't have the places that do normally get plowed for snow, so you can ride, because of COVID and parks being closed, it makes it even harder to get out and do snow riding, which is already difficult. So it's it definitely can bum you out and keep you in a place where you're like, no, I'm not feeling motivated,
So appreciate you, Angela. I hope that you're doing well. And hey, there's next year. There's next month. There's
for sure. For sure.
So why don't you take Kayla here?
Cool. So we asked her, what's the biggest changes in your bike life for 2020? She said, I found a new workout. I love it. It's my favorite way to get around the city, and I really enjoy riding to and by the beach. During COVID, cycling kept me sane. Hey, now that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
It allowed me to get out and be physically active and refreshed after a hard day at work. So right there is kind of like the flip side that, maybe getting out can, if your job allows it, if your time allows it, sometimes it can be that little extra thing that people get a boost off of. So It's really nice to hear that, COVID can give people a chance to maybe work out more. Sometimes it gives people a chance to meditate. Sometimes it just gives people a chance to like realize what bikes mean to them. Like if you look at Ricky, it's like a lot of his social connections are like not getting to be met as much because it's like, we can't do all the hanging out like we used to. Like, and especially with the Moonlight Mash, pretty much all these folks have been a part of the Moonlight Mash for at least a few years. And it's just, those are the ways that we all would connect and go out, have some drinks, have some food, have some laughs. And it's like, literally all of that is just no right now. And so I really appreciate people, bringing it back to the community, like I said. Cool. So, all right. I guess I'll go ahead and do this one. Still with Kaylee, have you been cycling more or less? More. When I first started cycling, my bike was just for transportation method to get to work. Before COVID, I used to play beach flag football and beach soccer in adult sports leagues and needed to find a way to exercise. So I decided to start cycling more. I knew one route around the city from the Moonlight Mash, and other cyclists taught me about other routes while the beach bike path was closed. I rode to Huntington Beach for the first time and started using my bike for more than just my commute. Hey, very
Those
nice,
beach
very
rides
nice.
down to Huntington and stuff are so cool. Like,
Yeah,
such a
yeah.
good
And
trip.
we actually had a question. We actually had a question in the chat that was
Oh
about
yeah,
people finding different routes and because of closures or just in general wanting to find different routes and ways with the infrastructure. I believe that was from Dominic. So yeah, so if there's like a specific route you're trying to get to like Huntington Beach, we actually have bike maps that are at the hub in downtown Long Beach, the GoActiveLB Hub. And if you go there, they can give you a free map and you can actually find the bike routes that can help you get around not just Long Beach, but get into Orange County or get into LA County through one of the bike lanes or through different streets. The easiest way, if you're looking to go south, is to take 2nd Street, I believe, right? Through Belmont Shores, over the bridges into Seal Beach. And if you're trying to go towards LA, I'm not in Long Beach right now. Is the river open right now?
Yeah, the river is open. It's
Okay. Yeah, so there you go. So yeah, there's different options as well. Like I said, Dominic, if you have a specific route that you're looking for, feel free to email us or send it on social media because we're more than happy to get you getting around.
yeah. We should put it on the tab for next year. We should do a class on like route building. I think that's
Yeah,
because that's
for
something
sure.
I love doing. Like I love looking on the maps, like finding the best routes, like linking together like a good climb and a good descent and low traffic
Yeah.
road. I love doing that stuff. And I know
Yeah.
some people don't, or it's overwhelming, or it's like, to me, it's a really great way to learn a city. And honestly, the very best way to do it is find a buddy who seems to always go on good routes and
I was just gonna say,
dude.
that I love having friends that love building routes, and I love riding them.
Yep.
Because I'm not great. I'm not great with building routes, but I usually just follow my GPS. But if you can make a good route where, like you said, Long Beach, for being as flat as it is, you can find little spots where you go up. You go up towards the Signal Hill,
Yep.
and you can do some climbs there where it is definitely going to make you feel like you're in the mountains. Some of those things, it's a nice leg workout. Nice leg workout.
Totally.
So you want to try doing Claire?
Yeah, man. So Claire actually got COVID in late March, and was just out for the count, as you can imagine. Fortunately, I have not gotten it, but multiple people I know have gotten it, and it's not a fun time.
Here.
At the very best, it's not a fun time. So it sounds like, fortunately, Claire, made it through. But yeah, it was, when she did get back on, said like started off slow, started off weak, but like noticing like the rest of us did, reduction in cars, reduction in traffic, like a really great way to just kind of get out and get around. She also has a really sick looking bike.
Yeah.
I really like that. Very functional, cool rack. That's cool. I like the details.
Yeah.
But yeah, hesitant to take public transportation because she thinks that that's where she got it from. Her best friend introduced her to a couple other cycling friends. Once again, it's that community. There's always the community. There's
every single, yeah.
So yeah, did like small things like adjusted her seat properly. We've done a class on that, like that, just these little subtle changes to your bike that can really make a huge difference of how comfortable you are on it. And then they were doing rides in the park and picnics and doing all of these kind of social distance sort of rides. I've done some of that too, and it sounds like that really really gave Claire some life throughout. And you know, unfortunately, at the end, she says that cars are starting to get back on the roads, and summer got busy, so wasn't doing it quite as much. But you know, I think during these times, it's nice to know that you do have that as an option. It sounds like Claire is making a good recovery and making good use of her bike during this time.
For sure.
What about Nick?
Cool. So Nick, I asked the same questions. What are the biggest changes? And he said, when and where to ride. More off-street trail systems. I need glasses. More off-street trail systems and away from more popular areas where social distancing would be difficult. So definitely getting off the beaten path. If you can see the picture there, it is a picture of him and his friends kind of hanging out in the middle of nowhere, which just looks lovely because that is, as we mentioned in one of the earlier slides, or I'm sorry, in one of the earlier discussions, that whenever all the parks did start getting crowded again, social distancing was almost impossible in an open area even, because it was just, you know, parks only have so much space. I'd even seen it in dog parks. Like everybody was everybody was trying to get their dogs out. And because everybody was at home, it was like, okay, like this is now the dog club. Like this is everybody's trying to jam pack in there, and those dogs are not socially distancing. So it was definitely like, you know, it's good that people that are capable to get out and get away from populations, because it's not always easy. One of my things I had to adjust to when I moved out to California was the country and the farms and all that stuff. It's not just right around the corner. So when you do want to do some off-roading or some, it's not just a hop, skip, and jump away. It's like chances are you might have to pay some money or find some special parking, or it's not, you know, it's harder to take advantage of those little things when it's so much population. So to anybody that has the opportunity to get out and just get around nothing, take that advantage, because that is about the safest thing you can do right now, is just to take those nice little rides where you're able to space out and really enjoy nature.
Yeah, totally. And he's just been working from home 100% of the time. And so without that commute time built in, he's found a little bit more time to ride. So I know that's been the case for me as well. Been pretty rad. I was just laughing at myself because I feel like we haven't really said how many of these there are. And so people are just like, oh, another one. Oh, another one. There is an end. We're getting close to the end. But we loved hearing from people. And then it was hard to we didn't want to cut people's answers because everyone really had something cool to contribute. But I'll take Angel here, because he actually responded to us on Instagram and gave us this story that he was hit by a car, broke his femur, which it sounds already a horrible start. Was gaining weight, wasn't wanting to do cardio because he was getting heavier and it gets harder, and not wanting to strain his broken leg. And so this, kind of caught in this downward spiral. And he's saying he found this guy on social media who hooked him up with a bike. He started biking, and already just in this last couple months, he actually didn't mention how long it is, but it sounds like this was all very recent. Totally turning his life around, completely changing. He says he's getting stronger. He knows that he's losing weight. He says he goes out for these night rides with music. I really like the last thing he said, just while the world sleeps, I'm riding, looking at the sky while my mind clears and drifts away. Really thankful I found a new passion. We were trying to get Angel on live today, but he actually, congratulations to him, got a new job. And so wasn't able to join us live.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so I told him I would share his story though, because that's just real inspiring to me. What about Cruise Cycles? Tell me about Cruise Cycles.
So Marco, owner of Cruise Cycles, is another friend of the company. And when we asked him what the biggest changes were, he said 2020 has brought changes. The effects of quarantine has changed the industry in ways I have never seen before. The demand for bicycles and their parts has risen, as well as the shortage in parts worldwide, which can only mean that people want bicycles. They want a sense of freedom, and the bicycle, once again, as it always has, still is the invention that provides them/us that. 2020 has shown me that people can change, and when they change to a bicycle, their limits are unbound. So I definitely love that. And he also said, is he biking more or less? He said, I've been cycling less this year in 2020, mostly because I've been repairing bicycles more. And so, yeah, I think, he said he used to commute a lot, and he would ride from like closer to LA all the way to Long Beach all the time. So 70 to 150 miles a week. And now, and I see some of his Instagram posts, and the dude's busy. So definitely congrats to Cruise Cycles for not only being prepared for, your own personal health, but also being able to help provide people with a sense of freedom and, getting their bike on.
Yeah, man, that's rad.
For sure.
Astra says the biggest change for her is that it's the only thing that feels normal. And she has been has been cycling less. It's not as tempting to get out of the house because you feel like, there's always danger around every corner. So totally feel that. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that's actually kind of a good transition into like, that's been the theme of 2020 is like, don't go outside. Everyone is sick. Everything's dangerous.
Unfortunately,
I am so stoked to not live in a world where everything is scary and dangerous anymore. So another question we asked people was just looking forward to 2021. What are your goals? I feel like, we all made New Year's resolutions in 2020 and then just said like, never mind. So these don't have to be New Year's resolutions at least, but just like, what are we looking forward to? I know I can probably speak for everyone and say like Moonlight Mash, please.
Yeah,
I'm just
for sure.
That first full Moonlight Mash back where we get to stop at a brewery afterward. That's going to be a dream.
It's going to be it's going to be a thing. It's going to be a thing.
Yeah. Stuart was saying he's not going to jump the gun. He's definitely, wanting to still be careful, doesn't want to get ahead of the curve. I really appreciate the realism there.
Yeah, sure.
We want to encourage people obviously to still be safe. He says he's going to wait a little longer than most people to get back to normal, but I guess keeping the goals low of just not many goals is a safe way to play it.
Yeah.
I know I'm doing myself that too, of like, I don't want to get too hopeful for anything because then you can just get disappointed.
Yeah. Kind of like not setting any New Year's resolutions. It's like, nah,
exactly.
we'll just do it and see what happens.
Yeah, we're going to wing it. Totally. Kayla has a specific one to ride 60 miles a week and to do her first 50-mile ride.
Nice.
I can definitely, speaking from my own experience, that for hitting 50 miles feels like an accomplishment. I remember the first time I had a 50-mile ride.
I remember my first one too. I was actually with Marco from Cruise Cycles. So
nice.
So it was for my 30th birthday.
Yeah.
31st. It was for my 30th birthday. Yeah, it was so it was definitely like a part, like, can I still do it? And also like, it's my first time and I'm 30. Yeah, it was great. It was a very fun ride.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, Kayla, make sure and give us a shout, tag us on Instagram or that Strava when you end up doing the 50 miles. Because we want to be here rooting for you. You can do it. You can definitely do it. All you have to, the secret for a 50-mile ride or 100-mile, any longer rides, just put in a coffee stop halfway through, or a lunch stop, or a beer stop, or multiple stops. The more time you stop and get food, the longer you can keep riding your bike. Food is fuel,
Exactly. There is nobody saying you have to get 50 miles within a certain time, which was kind of my thing. Like, we stretched that out to a day and made it a nice, like, there was no speedster to it. It was, we put in, like you said, multiple stops, stopped out on the mountain and just like had that moment of like nothingness, you know, that was just amazing. So yeah, it definitely, I've talked to a lot of people that have done like those 50, 100-mile rides, and a lot of them sometimes forget to enjoy the ride and just do it more as like a thing to accomplish. And you always want to keep that love of biking. So definitely enjoy the ride, look around, see things. It's you know, it's one of the better things you can do right now in the world.
If your first 50-mile ride is punishing, you're not going to be looking forward to the next time you do it. But if your first 50-mile ride is like super enjoyable with some friends in a coffee shop and a, you know, a good lunch and a beer at the end, you can't wait until the next 50-mile ride. So
right.
Keep us posted, Kaylee. We're excited for you. Ricky says he doesn't have any expectations. He doesn't think things are gonna really come back to how they were before, but he's hopeful that we can collect together and have a new sense of normal, whatever that ends up being. I really like what he says here of just, I think bicycles can be a way for us to find healing and joy during uncertain and agitated times. Personally, he wants to start putting in more miles on the saddle, especially in his mountain bike. But yeah, I just really do think that bicycles can be that thing for healing and joy. So way to go, Ricky. You want to read this last one from Nick? Because
sure,
this is what we had to close with.
Just to enjoy riding, which is about all you can ask for.
Yeah, dude. Whether it's 50 miles, 100 miles, or 2 miles, you know, whatever.
Exactly.
If you're enjoying it, man, I think that can be the motto for 2021 for me, is just enjoy it.
Exactly. And that's pretty much my goal too, is just to keep riding, you know, just enjoy the moments that I have on my bike, you know, and, you know, hopefully those events start popping back up so we can get back to work and start, you know, serving the community again, parking them bikes, fixing them up, you know, getting them looking pretty, and, you know, having that community vibe again.
Exactly. So that's it. That's it for this last class of 2020. Good riddance 2020, but thank all of you for just joining us as we've figured out how to do Zoom, you know?
Yeah, it's been a learning experience for all of us. Thank you for joining.
As always, you know, shoot us a message, leave a comment if for things that you want to hear next year. We are building out the schedule and already have some great ideas, but we want to hear more from you. So yeah, give us a shout.
Yeah.